Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Yes, I am at the end of the presentation Mastery Pathways. Some people don't like to look behind them to see how far they've come. They think, okay, yesterday's over with, it's done, forget about it, live for the now and move forward. How can you tell how far you've come working on a project in life without taking a moment to reflect on where you've been? It's food for thought. When I started putting this program together, I will freely admit that I botched it a couple of times. I actually had to start over 2, 3, 4 times, polishing what I wanted to do today. I found myself thinking, do I really want to go through or down the rabbit hole of telling people what they should do when making a presentation or giving a presentation? There's plenty of opportunities to do that, either in other speeches, or you can go online and see plenty of how-to videos on giving presentations. My purpose today is to go through and look at the takeaways I have from finishing this particular path and looking backwards. What were my experiences? Well, at first, it was using PowerPoint. Death by PowerPoint. Everybody knows that term. Another thing I noticed way back a number of years ago when I really first started Toastmasters was a number of people within the district would always make the comment, you can always tell a Toastmaster when they're at a conference or listening to somebody give a speech because they're sitting there silently counting all the ahs and ahs and what have you. But with PowerPoint, the one thing that people came up with was TMI. Somebody would put a screen up that had a gazillion lines on it, font so small you had to use a magnifying glass to read it, and made the penultimate mistake of sitting there, turning their back on the audience, reading the screen that everybody else, at least having graduated from the California public school system, would be able to read for themselves. They still do it today. I'm one of the Toastmasters that every time I see somebody giving a presentation that has one of these TMI screens, I just cringe. Watch channel 14, I think it is, on Comcast that has all the local government meetings, and you'll see people giving presentations just like that. TMI. So much information on a PowerPoint screen, you just, why? You just ask yourself why. Another thing in my experience was actually going through and producing the videos for our Toastmasters website tutorials. That was an experience in kind of giving a podcast, you're giving a little episode here and there, but the learning curve was how to put one together. You needed to script the material, you needed to record the video, and then in post-production go through what was needed to put everything together in a package, if you will, that let people absorb the information and hopefully use it. That was an experience that I took a good learning lesson from. Finally, improving my stage presence. This I'm still working on. Some people say I come across too stern, too strict, I need to loosen up. I'll agree. What's left? There's so many ways could go off and talk about lessons learned, what I'd like to carry forward from this, but again, like I said with PowerPoint slides, less is more. This is a good example of it. I kind of borrowed on Bob's, 132? 3 points, 3 bullet points, keep it simple. I call it the KISS principle, keep it simple. Fill in the blank is your choice. I would like, if I had one mission in life, it would be to tell people in public government, this is how you put a PowerPoint slide together. Please. Okay. I really can't get that point through enough. When you give too much information in a PowerPoint slide, you're asking for trouble. You're losing the audience's attention. They're spending so much time trying to read what's on the screen that they're not paying attention to you and what you're saying. And maybe that's the most important part. If they've got a handout in front of you, which by the way you do, you can sit there and read the slide on the paper for yourself. If you don't want to right now, you can take it home and read it later. But the whole point is when the presenter goes far enough to research the whys and wherefores behind the actual subject being presented, or the data or the information being presented, it can add a whole lot more to the presentation in general. What am I getting at? Well, the psychology of, yes, I want to present such and such information. Do I want people to be paying attention to the screen, or do I want them to be paying attention to me? If the answer is I want people paying more attention to me, then I ask myself, how can I do that and incorporate it into my presentation so that they're not paying attention to the screen, they're paying attention to me and what I'm saying. There's a little psychology going on behind the mastery of presentation. There is a little bit of psychology that goes into putting on a good presentation, and I found going through this whole pathway that that was one subject that really wasn't talked about a lot. I missed it. Moving forward. Technical difficulties. Aha, there we go. Like I said at the beginning, when giving a lesson learned presentation, try not to focus on so much of what you need to do, but to be more effective, tell people what not to do. And if they stay away from those pitfalls, their presentation overall will be a lot better. Think about it. Where do I go from here? Ideally, I'd like to use the lessons that I've learned from this particular exercise and be able to incorporate it into presentations that I give in the future. Another thing I'd like to do is figure out how to incorporate these lessons learned into other pathways, such as storytelling, or, forget the title of it, using humor in speeches, being more humorous. How can I add value to those presentations that I know, going in, I'm really not that good at, but would like to improve? So as I look back on this pathway, I've seen a lot of lessons learned. I've learned what not to do. And I'd like to take those lessons and incorporate them into future presentations as they come along. I hope this has been informative, given you food for thought, and we'll see you next time.